So next, now I have my front pattern on top of this satin piece. I'm going to fold it such that I don't waste so much of the fabric. So I'm placing it like so, making sure that the center front is sitting on the folded edge. See? So the folded edge is where the center front is sitting. I'm going to make sure that everything is aligning. It's very important so that you don't encounter problems later. So using my magnet, I am going to place it so that I keep this pattern in place. You can also pin it if you want, but I don't. So now we are going to cut exactly as it is. We have already added all of our seam allowances, so we are cutting exactly as you can see. We are cutting out the neckline, still making sure that everything is aligned. And then we are also going to cut out the armhole like so, and the shoulder. Just take your time as you're doing this so you don't make any mistake. And also we are going to be cutting two of this. So as we are cutting this now, we're going to place it on the satin piece again to cut out the same thing. That piece now will serve as the lining. So we'll have two of this front piece and then two of the back pieces, or rather four of the back pieces. But the back piece is into two, so we'll cut double of that. We have four. So this is the front, and then the back as well. We are folding. I folded the satin like this. As you can see, the right side of the satin is facing it. It is the wrong side of the satin that's facing us. So right sides together, and then the pattern is placed on it. For the back, you can place it however you want because there's no folded end. The bolts are going to come out as separate pieces. Everything we're doing here is the same thing that you would do if you're sewing for a 6-year-old or 7-year-old or 4-year-old. Is the same thing. The only difference is that you'll be using their measurements in place of the ones we are using here. So instead of 7.5 for the half length, you will use the half length of the 7-year-old or the 6-year-old that you are sewing for, and you add the allowances just like we added 1 inch extra. When it comes to sewing, it's just the formulas. You get the formulas and apply them any other place. So next, like I said, we are going to place this on our fabric and cut out a second set. So one will be for the main fabric, the other will be for the lining. Now you can use a lighter fabric for the lining, let's say something like taffeta or cotton lining, but I'm using the satin as well, which is still not bad. So that is it. Now this neckline, this is how you will cut it if you wanted a U neck at the back, and this is what it looks like. So you place this on your pattern same way and cut if that's the kind of neckline that you want. And also, if you want your neckline higher, you will not measure 5 inches. Maybe you want a high neck, you can just measure 2, but then the width remains the same with the back. Now the lace fabric, I folded it into 2, as you can see. So fold it into 2, right sides together, and then place your pattern, your fabric, front or back, and cut. Here is the back piece. So for the back piece, remember there's no folded end, so you can place it however you want, except your lace has a pattern that you're trying to follow. But in this case, there's no pattern, so just place the back piece however you want. Fold it into 2. So once we are done, we'll have 2 pieces. So this is it for the back. This now is going to sit on the right side of the satin. So the wrong side of the lace is going to face the right side of the satin. Next, now we're going to cut the front piece. This is the back, so we're going to cut the lace for the front piece. So this is it now. The lace is still folded into 2, right sides together. The lace, right side of the lace folded, right sides together, and then I'm placing the front piece at the edge. So the folded edge of the bodice, that's the satin piece, is sitting on the folded edge of the lace. The two of them have to be exactly the same where it is folded. So I'm cutting out the neck now, and then we'll cut out the armhole and the rest of the lace as the satin. You can also use any other fabric for this upper part. If you're using, let's say, Ankara for example, there will be no need for this lace. So that satin we cut the first time will be our main fabric, and then the lining will be the lining, and that's it. But when you're making use of a lace, this is what you do. So this is it for the front. Next, we are going to cut out our interfacing. You can use stay. I'm using tissue gum here. This is very light gum stay. They call it tissue gum in the market. So we're going to go iron this gum, this interfacing on top of the satin pieces, both the front and the back, as well as the lining. We're going to iron this on the lining and then on the main piece. So this tissue gum has shiny particles on one side. So the part with the shiny particles is the glue. Those shiny stuff are the glue. So you place them on the wrong side, and then you just place your iron and it's glued to the fabric. After that, we'll trim off some of the excess, as you can see. You can cut it out the same way or iron before, but however you do it, just iron your interfacing on your fabric pieces and then trim them up neatly, and then we move on to the next step. So after ironing, this is it. I'm just trimming here so that they're exactly the same. You don't want your interfacing hanging out or longer than the main fabric. You have to trim it so they are both equal and neat. This will even help you minimize a lot of errors in the future. So trim. It's the same thing you're going to do if you're using Ankara or you're using cotton lining or whatever fabric you choose to do. The process is the same. You use the same, follow the same process for whatever fabric that you are using. If you're using ST as your interfacing, it's the same thing. You follow the same process. So now I'm placing the lace fabric on the right side like so. I'm just going to use pins for now to hold it together. So now we're going to treat these two as one. They have become one moving forward. So some people use hemming gum to try and glue this together, but I don't find that helpful because it leaves some type of residue, especially for a lace that is not thick. So I'd rather use my pins and hold them, which still works, and you will see. So I did the same thing for the other back piece. Then the front piece as well. Remember that as you're ironing this, you're ironing it on the lining as well. So as you're trimming here, you're trimming on the lining too. So after everything is trimmed for the front piece, I'm placing the lace over it. So it is the right side of the satin that is showing through the lace. Don't make that mistake. Right side of the satin is showing on the outside. The lace